Good morning, good morning. Sorry, I just bent down to pick up a book as we went live. Good morning and welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. Where's my camera? There it is. Welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. This is the motivation specifically designed to help motivate your Monday, your morning, even your week. So the title of this could change as I percolate a bit longer on what I'm about to share, but here's the main thing. If you sometimes struggle with almost like finding the way to get motivated, classically we call it being stuck. We call it being stuck because, sometimes we might need to get motivated to do something, and sometimes we might want to motivate ourselves. And it's interesting because on a completely different subject, I recently asked a business group a question about what they do to celebrate themselves. And I know it seems a strange question, and for some might seem simplistic. We spend so much time getting motivated, wanting to be motivated, and wanting to motivate ourselves, or wanting to do something. Maybe it's a goal or a desire or something we want to achieve. Yet when we achieve them, do we just stop and do something to acknowledge that we've done the thing that previously seemed hard to do? And there are lots of different ways you can celebrate, from high-fiving yourself, having a happy dance, patting yourself on the back. I talk about these all the time. What I found interesting was that when I personally went to celebrate myself, I was a bit like, two questions really fox me. When people say, how are you going to celebrate that? And so what can I do for you? I always go a bit, So there's more work to do underneath. So first things first, let me just say hello to those of you who have joined. So far we've got Alan saying good morning, we've got Ivona saying good morning, and we've got Teresha, yay, saying morning all. And by the way, if you're watching in the background and you don't want me to call your name out, that's fine. I won't do that unless you type a comment in the box below. I respect your privacy. So with that said, let me move into the subject. Hopefully I'll keep it nice, short, sweet and succinct, so that you can absorb the nuggets, reflect, and then actually put this into your day. Because the reason I do these Monday motivations isn't just so that I can flap my gums and speak to you about all of this kind of thing. It's to actually give you some real life on the court tools that you can take into your life, into your day, into your morning, even into your week. So where did this even start, and why is this about what's underneath? Well, I always say that it's almost like people talk a lot about the subconscious mind and mindset and things like that, and I call it kind of like looking under the bonnet. And sometimes it's a good idea to know what's underneath the bonnet, so what's beneath, to be able to have a look at, where we're going to go next, what you want to do, how you want to stop yourself from doing something that doesn't serve you, or how you want to propel yourself forward. So on Saturday, I held a class, a call-in, let's just say, like a radio show style call-in, based on being on the BBC last week. Now, the reason I did this was because following being on that show, I was contacted from all different directions. I had people who found me privately on Facebook who were trying to connect. Unfortunately, didn't send any messages to say why, so I'm making some assumptions, although the good old others folder let me know who was trying to reach out. There were people that joined this page, people that found me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and all these different places. And thank you, by the way, for those of you who have been subscribing to my YouTube channel. I am really overjoyed. I'll let you know a bit more about why I'm kind of driving that at the moment when I can. So thank you so much for those of you, and I think all of you watching live at the moment have subscribed, so thank you so much. I know some of you subscribed a long time ago, some of you subscribed when I asked. So on Saturday, when I was taking these calling questions, there were a couple of questions that had already been submitted, So I covered them and a couple of questions that came up along the way. And quite often the questions I'm asked are, what do you do, or how do you do this, or what do you say when, or how do I tackle this situation? They normally stem from there. And whilst there's kind of two answers to this, there's a just do this answer. To me, that doesn't feel very teach a man to fish. Yes, I can say, yeah, off you go and do this and do that. But the job of a coach specifically is normally to ask questions so that you can elicit whatever's underneath, so that in a way, the person who you're coaching can find their own answers through your questioning, rather than kind of more the mental thing where someone comes to me and says, how did you do this? And I say, I've done this, this and this. I ask them more questions and give them specifics. So that's the slight nuances. And one of the things, I know that many coaches can use profile tools or profiling tools. One of the things that I've used for a long time, even since when I was an employee and as a learning and development manager, senior learning and development manager, and I was also a training manager as well, nationwide training manager for a commercial mortgage company. And one of the tools that I used back then was from this book, which you're going to get in mirror writing because I forgot to flip my screen round before I went live. This book is by a guy called Tom Rath, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, called Strength Finders. And this is based on a whole heap of surveys that were done through Gallup, you know, the worldwide Gallup that many of you will know. And what they did was they did lots of surveys about different people in different roles and what their strengths were. And the premise of this book is, don't look at strengths and weaknesses and try and improve on the weaknesses. Look and see what your strengths are, identify your strengths, and once you know what your strengths are, then if you can incorporate one of those strengths, or one of your top 5 strengths into your day on a daily basis, you really live a fulfilled life. You do well, you feel good, and everything else like that. And I think that's a really great place to start. And it's weird because in training, of course, people come to me because they perceive that they have a weakness or they're not great in something. Weakness is a very loaded word, so let me change that. But they perceive they're not great at something and they want to do more and be more. So think about this for a second. If I were to ask you right now, do you know what your strengths are? Like, what would you say they are? A couple of things happen when you ask somebody this. They either kind of go, oh, well, especially us Brits, I've got a few strengths, but I don't think it's right to, put them out there and make people, make people think I'm being big-headed or anything like that, Or people will genuinely say, oh, I don't know, I don't know. So if you struggle to answer that question, one really great way to think about it is think of somebody that knows you really well and that absolutely adores you, thinks you're the bee's knees. What would they say your strengths are? So that's another good way to do it if you're not going to kind of go for a book like this. So just to say, for those of you that but I'm too busy, I don't have time, a lot of my clients fall into that category. A lot of them work at very, very senior level, like exec level, board level, within a corporation. A lot of them within financial services and travel. And some of them are quite kind of like senior consultants. When I think about this, currently on my books, many of the clients are either like the CEO, managing director of their company, they're a consultant and they run their own business, and they tend to not have a lot of time. My business owners, who I adore working with and love working with, same sort of thing. So busy wearing so many hats. There's the accountant hat, the marketing hat, the salesperson hat, the promotions person hat, PR hat. Then there's the planning, the project management hat. You wear so many hats. It's no wonder that we're all so busy. So what I love about this book is that it's a book, but it's not a book. It's not you need to read the book to understand the concept. It has a few pages at the beginning, which is the introduction. Literally, as I look at it now, 12 pages? It talks about the different themes or talents. It tells you what they are and why investing in your areas of strength accelerates how you want to be, what you want to do. Once you've read the first few pages, then you've got a little test that you go online and take. Basically, you've got a code in the back. You scratch off the number. You take the test. Takes a few minutes, like 20 minutes or so. You answer those questions, and then it will give you your top 5 strengths. But don't worry, because the rest of this book, and I'm showing you to show you why you don't need to bother reading the whole thing. All of that are all of the different categories of strengths that comes up with. When you've got your top 5 strengths, it then means that you can implement and put something into what your strengths are. Now, without kind of boring you, I just want to give you an example of how this book works, because some people say, oh, I don't like doing profiles, they always get me so wrong. Well, when you answer questions about yourself, there is no wrong thing to answer. There's no kind of like one is better than the other, good or bad. So it brings up your top 5 strengths, and it actually gives you a report, PDF report, which you can keep and refer back to. And Ivona's saying it sounds like a great book. Strengths Finder, I should say. That's what it's at. I always call it Strength Finder, but it's Strengths Finder by Tom Rath, R-A-T-H. Brilliant book. Like I say, I've had this particular book for years. But the reason that I am going to just quickly read one of these out by way of example is I hope it will help for you to place yourself in, well, there's all these different characteristics, all these different strengths. I have my own top 5. It's so eye-opening. It's like opening the key to your life and how you can go forward. And what it actually does is it helps you to get clearer on who you are, which sounds funny, but when you're asked a question like, what are you really great at? You might say, yeah, I'm quite good at video and helping people and things like that. But when you're able to actually articulate it in a deeper way, especially for those of you who are marketing yourself, maybe you've got your own business and you want to market yourself, maybe you're a coach, maybe like Teresa and Ivona, you're relationship coaches, and you need to kind of stand out differently. And it's funny because as I describe this to you now, as I describe that to you now, the bookmark just fell out, but that's fine. As I describe this to you now, my top of the top 5 strengths is something called individualization. And I'm just going to read you, and I should have bought my glasses, but I'm sure I can squint. I'm going to read you just a snippet of what that sounds like. Not to say, oh, look at this is better. But for those of you who have ever worked with me, followed me for any sort of length of time, you might recognise some of what I'm sharing here as being things that you've seen. And for those of you that don't know me that well, you might be thinking, oh, that's why she does this. Now imagine you've got 5 of those. So individualization, it says your individualization theme leads you to be intrigued by the unique qualities of each person. You are impatient with generalizations or types because you don't want to obscure what is special and distinct about each person. Instead, you focus on the differences between individuals and you instinctively observe each person's style, each person's motivation, how each thinks and how each builds relationships. You hear the one-of-a-kind stories in each person's life. Now, this theme explains why you pick your friends just the right birthday gift, why you know that one person prefers praise in public and others detest it. I'm just going to pause there for a minute. I think that's one of the reasons, unknowingly to me, that when you show up to watch these Facebook Lives, I see people, and sometimes it gives me their names as well. I see you joining and I see you watching. But that is the reason why this individualization theme that runs through my blood is the reason why, if you put a comment below, I'll acknowledge you. Hi, Ivona. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Alan. But if you don't, and I still see your name, I've had like so many people's names that have popped up that I've known of, I've maybe been connected with in some way, and people who I admire, people who are doing great things in the world, and I won't call them out because I know, because of this individualization thing, I know that they don't, almost like they don't want to be acknowledged or pulled out in public. So this is a reason why. And I want to say a big hi to Sam Adams as well. He's a phenomenal motivation as well in the world. So thank you for joining, Sam. So that gives you an idea of how that plays out. I'll just continue with the rest of this, and Ivona's saying that's definitely you. Can you see what I mean? And there's 5 of these, and there's more, but there's 5 of these in the top piece. So what did I say then? It's why you know that one person prefers praise in public and another detests it, and why you tailor your teaching style to accommodate one person's need to be shown and another's desire to figure it out as they go. Because you're such a keen observer of other people's strengths, you can draw out the best in people. This individualisation thing also helps you to build productive teams. This is an interesting one. While some search around for the perfect team structure or process, you instinctively that the secret to great teams is casting by individual strengths, so that everyone can do a bit of what they do well. Now, the reason I kind of smirk and grin at that is because in July I had a ultimate visibility bootcamp day, and I've changed the next one slightly for the theme, and I purposely said I wanted it to be intimate and small. I didn't want more than 6 to 12 people there, because then it becomes hard to really dig deep and help everyone get their own individual transformations in the way that I want to work. I can stand in front of 500 people and people will still come up to me and say, oh my gosh, light bulb moment. But on this, I wanted to actually roll my sleeves up, dig in deep, so that people got their own individual visibility transformations. Because yes, there's video, there's blogging, there's Facebook Live, there's public speaking, there's all these different ways that you can go out and be more visible. But individualisation, it's like I literally see you, you tell me what you do in a one-liner, I get a sense of who you are, and I'm like, no, video on this occasion isn't for you, but this thing is, and this thing is. And I have to say, I am 99.9% spot on every time. And the reason for that is this individualisation thing. So I get to see how you can do well and what you can do well. But this Monday motivation isn't about me. This is about being able to see out of your themes what your top 5 are and applying it to your life. So you can see that as a visibility specialist, every single day I get the honour, the absolute pleasure of having individuals cross my path, online, in the flesh, as clients, as companies, as people within a corporation, as people that phone into a radio show, and I'm able to assist and help because of just one of those top 5 of strengths, and I would love for you guys to be able to have this too. But here's why this is important. So whether you do the Strength Finders test or not, if you do the Strength Finders test, then you'll have your 5 things to go back to. And I have to say, I don't think this has changed for years. Oh, by the way, after you've got the description of it, it says the name of whatever, of the strength you have sounds like this. And it gives you examples of people's lives. And this one cracked me up. Somebody who's a publishing executive said, sometimes I walk out of my office, and you know how cartoon characters have these balloons above their head? I would see these balloons over everyone's head telling me what was on their mind. It sounds weird, doesn't it? But that happens all the time. It's so strange. It feels like having a sixth sense. What a thing to say on video. This is a phenomenal book, it really is. And yes, I know that there's lots of different profiles and, disc and on lots of different profiling, but this one is great for the self because it shows you where your strengths are. But here's what I did with this. And interestingly, when I first took this test, I was still an employee. And I've actually taken this test again because I was a bit like, well, now I'm a business owner, things must have changed for me. They absolutely haven't at all. Exactly the same 5. So there you go. And when I first took this test, this was going on for over 15 years ago, I think, if I remember rightly, a long time ago. But then knowing what my strengths were helped me to get clarity. So with something like individualization, it also gives you, after what it looks like in each description, it also then says ideas for action. So it gives you ideas of things to do on a kind of more daily basis. I think you've definitely got individualization in there. Having said that, you might have one that's even stronger than that in terms of like relationships and stuff. So, if you get this book, would you do me a favour? If you get this book and you do the test and you're in the Vibes Tribe Facebook community, let me know what your top 5 strengths are. I remember we did a Sally Hogshead, How the World Sees You. I managed to get some free tests from Sally. So grateful to her. I got 100 of them, put them in the group, got people to do them, and then you all kind of shared what you were. So if you do this and you're in the group, let us know what your top 5 strengths are. I'll put mine in there under a Monday Motivation hashtag today, so that if you've already got this, you can have a look and see what mine are. You might say, yes, that's someone that I really like those, or you might say, oh no, I need somebody because my strength is this. I might need someone who's more, I don't know, analytical or more this or more that. So it's really quite a liberating thing. What it helped me to do was to then get clear on how I needed to incorporate things. So for example, if I then set up this business in a way that I wasn't able to be in contact with people. I wasn't able to, sorry, I've got something flash across my screen there. Wasn't able to really go deep in people's strengths. I would likely do it for a while, but then feel unhappy. And in fact, on Saturday, when I did the call-in, and the recording will disappear today, by the way. So if you haven't had the chance to listen back to it yet, you haven't got a lot of time, but don't worry, there's some more goodies coming. But one of the callers identified that were working in a current role towards a current career, and they said something like, I'm not sure it's right for me, but I guess the money's good. That is because they are not utilising one of their top 5 strengths. So I talked about this book on Saturday, and they by the end of the call, they've said, "Yep, I've purchased it. It's on its way. I'm doing it." That's and that in itself, there's a strength in there. Sometimes some of us like to sit and reflect on things and sit with things and decide, and some of us like to go just like straight away. If I was watching this Facebook Live and someone was talking about this book in this way, I'd be on my other phone on Amazon ordering it. Can I get Amazon Prime? Can I get it delivered today? Do it. And that's what I did when I got this book. I got another one by Tom Reth's grandfather called How Full Is Your Bucket? And I remember that Saturday very well for the way it felt. Having just discovered or uncovered what my strengths were, I was then able to able to read the How Full Is Your Bucket, which takes 90 minutes if you sit and read it from cover to cover, and it's a real feel-good book. That weekend I was zinging. I don't know if that even makes sense, but I was zinging. I felt really motivated, knew what my strengths were, was able just to move forward. Gave me the clarity on who I was, like what I was really about. And also it kind of gave me the motivation to then say, well, what can I take into my week? What of these strengths can I make sure that I take into my week so that I have this really great productive week? Because remember that if you put one of these strengths in everything you do on a daily basis, you really start to shine, you really start to grow. And here's what I'm going to invite you to do. If you haven't got this book, but you know you're really great at one particular thing, incorporate that into your day. If you're a chatterbox and you like speaking to people, don't just send emails out to your clients. Pick up the phone, ring them, speak to them, have that be something that you do. If you know that you're good at speaking to people and you're a senior manager and there is a culture of email trails, maybe call meetings, Anna Wintour, who's the editor of Vogue, British woman that is the editor of American Vogue, very famously has meetings once a week that are 15 minutes with the whole team. They stand up for the meetings, they don't sit down, and they go through what each is going to do. So let's pretend that Sam, Ivona, and Alan and Teresa, we're all in having a meeting. And I would be like, okay, Sam, your job is to really motivate people this week. We're going to have some open days in the Vibes Tribe. Your job is to really, really motivate people, especially if they're not feeling so motivated. They'll ask a question, you'll answer it. I'm going to come back round, let me know if you can do it, what else we need to do. Ivona, yours is about relationships and getting people ready. So what we're going to do this week is have a time where people can come in and they can ask you about relationships. Awesome. I'll come back to you in a second. Teresa, you're a master relationships person. I know you're really great with the motivation behind the relationships. What do you think that you could bring? Maybe that feels a bit different to the other two that could be in there. Alan, I know that you've navigated, rough seas, and you help people bring their life around to kind of calmer waters, and you've undergone challenges yourself. Okay. So can you imagine, I've said that, and we are having this, I'm kind of making this up, but I'm making this up for demonstration. Imagine that we're going to do this thing in the Vibes Tribe this week, and that you've got your brief, and now we'll have a meeting and we'll say, okay, so now what would you like to do? And you will go, Sam might say, no, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is this because I think it'd be more fruitful. I'm like, great, tick the box. What about you, Teresa? What about you, Ivona? What about you? That would work for me because I like to get a sense of whether someone's happy. As a senior manager, I never liked giving people stuff to do that they hated. Because I know that they're going to do it, they're going to probably stress themselves doing it, they're going to put a lot of effort into it. Individualisation helped me know that. And some of the board wouldn't understand why I said, I don't think this person's the right person. Don't get me wrong, they're fit for purpose, they're good at performance, but this is not the right thing for them to do. This is not going to play to what they can really bring for us. So even with working with clients, I can check that information out. And it gives me it feels like a sixth sense, it gives me the vision and the foresight to be able to do that. And you have got that too. So even if you haven't done this, think of one or two things that you're really great at and incorporate them into your day, and notice how motivated you feel to do the work that you need to do. Bring it into something that you're not kind of great with, like accountancy. There's a reason I have an accountant. Everything goes over to them. I give it to the accountant. If I was to put a bit of individualization, imagine with each receipt, I don't know, what was the individual story behind the receipt? I'd probably enjoy submitting those accounts and doing all of that VAT stuff that has to be done. But I'm good. My VAT's done. It's paid. Until next quarter, it's all good. So hopefully helpful. What are your thoughts? I'd love you to share either in the comments below. I think I'm going to change the title of this because it doesn't kind of make sense, but now I've said it does. So I think I'm going to change it to now, what's your strengths? And then I need to get the cover changed and up and out there. So you're all saying thank you. Ivona says comes across on my lives. Face to face, I'm great, passionate and a chatterbox. Me too, Sam. Which is why I have trouble keeping these down to 15 minutes. So, yeah, completely, totally. We'll share my strengths with the Vibers for sure. Thank you, Ivona. I would love to do that. I'm always curious, and it's funny because I've done this so many times. I've sometimes built a relationship with a client. In fact, one of my longest standing clients has been with me for 7 years. We were only meant to work for 6 months, and we started with this. And it's like every year now, they renew with me, and it's just such a pleasure to work with them. Some of the most go-getting people I know have somebody in their corner. They have a coach in their corner, and sometimes have multiple coaches in their corner. So love that. Weekly team huddles. Fab for driving motivation and collaboration. Absolutely. But you know what, Teresa? In financial services, which is where I was a senior manager, some people absolutely hated it. And it's interesting when you've got a team of people that really love it and really hate it, how you kind of bring that all in so they all get the best from it. This was really great for that as well. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for loving my YouTube channel and subscribing to it. I'm so grateful for you and to you. And you're going to see some stuff on my YouTube channel that you don't see anywhere else. So if this has been of any service to you, if this has motivated you, if it's just got you thinking about the things that you're good at, then I'm already very happy. Please don't keep this a secret though. Do share it. I'd recommend that you share this on your personal timeline with a one-liner as to why you, either why you've enjoyed it or why you think people enjoy it. But here's why I say your personal timeline, because there are people going through so much stuff at the moment. Not for me, it's not just been about what clients have been going through. I've had friends, relatives going through so much hard stuff at the moment. And people don't always post about that on Facebook. When you share something like this on your timeline, people get access to stuff that they might not have seen before. So that's the reason why I say, let's spread the ripple effect far and wide. And an amazing number of you watch these back on the replay. And for you, I'm so grateful for you who share this and for you who comment. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to say thank you so much for joining. This book is phenomenal, and it's a really great way to get the clarity that you need on getting your own self-motivation. So that's it for now. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. Continue the conversation either in the comments below or hop over to the Visibility Vibe Tribe and let us know what your strengths are. I'm going to pop in there in a moment too. Lots of love to you all. Bye for now.